February 19th, 2023. Dear Rachel, a couple days ago on the 17th, I talked about giant Sirenians. Now, given what humans know about these creatures, and only what humans know, it is really very improbable that such giants exist today. But this is not for a lack of fantastical creatures that do exist today, or in other words, fantastical creatures that are still extant. In fact, there are various species of humanoids that live in the sea. These humanoids not only resemble humans in appearance, with their 2 legs, 2 hand-like little paws, and adorable little faces. They also act like humans in the way they cuddle, the way they socialize, and even the way they hold hands so as not to literally drift apart while they sleep floating atop the great waterbed that is the ocean. And also like humans, these mer-humanoids use technology. More precisely, they use tools. I am not referring to a fish, of course, but there are true fish that also use tools. Some wrasses will carry stones in their mouths to throw and crack open shells, much like crows, or even the sea humanoids themselves. No, these humanoid merfolk not only use tools, but they use them to such an extent that humans literally study the creature's archaeology. That's right, the humanoids of the ocean have been creating their very own mounds as the result of a merfolk industry that has likely existed since a time humans forgot. These mounds are heaps of mussel shells and clam shells, which to this very day the humanoids crack open using hammers and anvils. The mounds they build are middens, or trash heaps, much like the middens made by harvester ants that I talked about on the 16th. But unlike the ants, who must build their middens by purposefully carrying waste and dead bodies to them, the merfolk simply let the shells that they hammer fall to the seafloor. They aren't purposefully building anything, just hammering and then eating lots and lots of mussels and clams. The merfolk I am referring to are the sea otters. According to a genetic study published by the Royal Society in 2017, sea otters who use tools have mitochondrial DNA that is the same as sea otters that do not. This is unlike bottle-nosed dolphins who use coral to protect their noses while hunting. According to the study, tool use in bottle-nosed dolphins likely only dates back about 200 years. And dolphin communities who use tools are more likely to have certain genes than communities that don't. The study concludes that sea otters have likely been using tools for much longer than dolphins, and maybe even before human history began. Indeed, sea otter pups are even able to hammer using rocks innately. This means they are able to do it without being taught, as though the information was downloaded directly to their brains. Do humans have the same innate abilities for tool use? A study by psychologists Lockman and Kars suggests they do, in fact. But this is not because human and sea otter babies are born geniuses that are able to imagine, plan, and carry out the action of hammering, which may later encourage infants in tool-using species to develop the coordination needed in order to do more complex tasks with their minds and bodies in adulthood. Sea otters have a lot in common with humans. Not only do they resemble humans, and in some ways act like humans, but they also alter their entire ecosystem. Because sea otters eat so many sea urchins, which they pry from the ocean floor using rocks like levers, that sea kelp is allowed to flourish. The sea otter's industrious work results in a kelp forest full of all sorts of different animals, like sirenians, for example. The sea otters are called a keystone species for this reason. Their actions shape the ecology around them. And even the natural impulse for otter babies to hammer things is not too different from a human infant's natural impulse to hammer things. The directed and highly precise tool use of adult sea otters, then, may indicate that when a sea otter is no longer a child, they put away childish things. They move beyond this natural hammering impulse of infancy, just like humans, and learn to hammer and pry with conscious purpose and planning. Are you a sea otter, Rachel? I know, you're not a sea otter, but can I call you one anyways? I expect your response to my query at the Orignac resting place in the underworld within 5 years of its consecration. Love, Telesma Blue Orb. P.S. to all of my lovely listeners, please press the subscribe button for more of my personal diary, and please be sure to share this content with your friends. It does have magical properties. For even more magical properties, check out our YouTube channel, which is called The Earth, and can be found by searching for my name. We'll also be publishing material only available to patrons on our Patreon page at patreon.com/welcome to the earth. This occult content is all about the further edge. Telesma Blue Orb's Earth Love Diary, copyright 2023 by Telesma Blue Orb and Rachel Nelson, all rights reserved.